You have the vision, you're doing the work, and still you're short on what you need to deliver the impact your community deserves. Hi again. I'm Paul Hosh, and I'm with Nonprofit Fundraising Management, where we use modern fundraising to help Black churches and Black nonprofits thrive. If you're a Black church or a Black nonprofit that serves the Black community, you know what I'm talking about when I'm saying you don't have the resources you need to deliver on the impact that your community deserves. But if you don't do it, if your church doesn't do it, if your nonprofit doesn't do it, who's going to do it? Because often you're the backbone of the community. I mean, you're providing food shelters, after school programs, homeless shelters, affordable housing, job training. I mean, the list goes on. And you're even doing advocacy for big policy changes for nationwide. But if you don't do it, who's going to do it? So it's really hard. So we decided to put together a series of 9 videos that's going to talk about resources that are needed in the Black community and how to get those resources for those community programs and how it connects to fundraising, because fundraising, you have to have the resources to do the things that you're doing. So we're going to talk about that in 9 episodes of a series. And as always, we will be using the quick quizzes throughout this video and the other videos. And we don't use these to test you, as you may remember. We use these to help you lock in this information, because studies show when you take quizzes, it helps your memory remember what it is you're trying to learn. So we're going to throw in a few quick quizzes here for fun, as well as to lock it into your memory. And this brings us to section 1. Your vision is bold, but your budget does not match. Maybe you started a food program or a kitchen pantry, but you've quickly found out there are more people in the community that needs more food, and you're unable to service all the individuals that come to your pantry. Or maybe you started an after-school program and you ended up with more kids than you can handle, and you had to turn some away, not because they didn't qualify, but because you don't have the space for them. Or maybe you started a job training program and you had more people show up than you were prepared for or had the resources for, and you just couldn't provide for everyone. Or maybe there's a program that you want to start, but it requires lots of funding to get started, like a mental health program you might want to start. That requires a significant upfront of costs, but you haven't been able to start it, so you pushed it out and you're pushing out. Well, you're not alone. Lots of Black churches and nonprofits are going through this because they don't have the funding they need to get these programs expanded or to start off. And here is a list that I see all the time of some of the commonly underfunded or programs that never even got off the ground. Number 1 is often youth programs. They will start, and because they're the easiest to start, but often they outgrow the space and the resources quite quickly. Another one that often never gets started is a mental health program. They struggle because there's usually a larger upfront cash that's needed to get those started. Another program that is often challenging is a transportation program for elderly. And usually those programs are inconsistent at best because of the cost and the insurance and all those other things. Another is, as I said, it's similar to the youth program, but it's the after-school program. Those usually are started early on, but they quickly are outgrown and require more resources and often are underfunded. And perhaps the last one that you see often are food pantries. Food pantries are started lots with churches, schools, in low-income areas, and they end up not being able to serve as many people that show up in line. That happens often. So you're not lacking vision, that's for sure. You're simply under-resourced. And that's a systems issue, not a personal one. So let me ask you a question. What's one program that you've always wanted to start and haven't because of resources? Or what is one of the programs that you've started and it's doing well and it could expand because there is more demand, but you haven't been able to do it because of a lack of resources? Well, why don't you write that down and bring it to your team once again and start talking about that again? It's not going to happen if you don't talk about it and put it up front and forward. But let's do that. Let's start looking at our visions again. Because by the time we're done with this series, you will know how to get those resources. I promise you that. And this brings us to our first quick quiz. And it is multiple choice. And here it is. Which of the following is the most common reason a high impact program gets delayed? A, not enough volunteers. B, lack of faith. C, poor marketing. D, lack of funding infrastructure. Leave your answers in the comments below, and I'll try to get to and answer as many as possible. Well, I'll go ahead and tell you the answer. The answer is D. The most common problem programs are not delivered to the fullest extent is lack of funding. That's why you're here. Now, this brings us to section 2, why traditional giving alone falls short. A lot of Black churches and Black nonprofits rely heavily on the faithful givers. That is, traditional tithes, traditional offerings, and annual gifts. Maybe you have individuals that give religiously, consistently, and you might also have a few family foundations that give, once a year, a pretty good sized gift. And these are certainly important and very helpful. But alone, they are simply not enough. They are definitely not enough to get you to grow and expand your programs or start the ones that are a little bit more expensive but are most needed in the community, like mental wellness. And here's what typically happens. About 90% of your funding comes from traditional sources, whether it's weekly tithes, offerings, annual gifts from individuals that give perhaps on a monthly basis. And and that's usually what happens. And maybe you have a family foundation that's giving a rather large gift at the end of the year. But what happens when something shifts? One of your major donors or larger donors moves away, or the foundation changes its focus, or one of your donors passes away. This can really throw your organization for a tailspin. And it's not that you're being irresponsible. It's just simply that you're undersourced and you're not using modern fundraising. And here are some of the funding challenges I often see with our clients. One is the operating costs seem to eat up all of the funds. That's a big one. Another one is you end up asking the same 4 or 5 donors for needed asks over and over again. You don't have any reserves and you don't have any funds to expand your programs. And another one that I see are grant guidelines are often missed because you just don't have the time or anyone else to write the grant. Another one is major donors don't give as much as they could because there's no one there to really steward them or cultivate them in a proper way. And events are difficult because they end up costing more than they raise. And so that can be really challenging. Let me ask you an important question. How much of your resources depend on 1 or 2 sources? A faith base is a foundation, but it can't be the whole house, and it shouldn't be. Now, this brings us to our second quick quiz, and it's true or false. If people really believe in your work, they'll give without being asked. Leave your answers in the comments below. Well, let me just go ahead and give you the answer. The answer is they need to be asked. Even the most committed supporters need a clear understanding of where the funding is going. And even if they do give with a confused request, the amount that they give you is going to be far less than it would be if you made the request very clear, transparent, and had reports letting people know where the funding was going. So individuals definitely need to be asked. And now this brings us to section 3. It's not about the money. It's about the system. You don't need more faith or more hustle. You need a plan. And a professional fundraiser can help you with that plan. They can go from reacting to proaction. You can go from burnout to building, from unpredictable to sustainable. This is not easily done from somebody who doesn't know how to do this professionally and trained to do it. Many of the nonprofit leaders, Black leaders that I deal with, as well as many of the pastors I deal with, have doctoral degrees. They're not unlearned people, but they often were never taught how to fundraise. And fundraising is a profession of its own. And so you need someone to help you with this. And I'm not saying, you need to hire my company. You need to hire a company or someone to come into your office to help you do this. This is not something that's easily learned. It's not rocket science, don't get me wrong, but it's not common sense either. So what I would say is you don't need a miracle. You need a map. And to help you get started, we created a sustainable growth toolkit. And it's free and it's built just for you. And all you have to do is send us an email and we'll send it to you. And inside it, you'll find a fundraising readiness checklist, as well as a campaign planning worksheet. And also you'll find a comparison of fundraising roles, as well as a donor and board outreach template, and much, much more to help you get started. And so you'll walk away with clarity on your gaps, tools to talk to funders, and a way to move forward without overwhelm. You don't need to do it all at once. You just need your next step and then the step after that. And being taught or coached or mentored what to do next, how to do it, and when to do it. You can't do this alone. And to get the toolkit, simply email us at wearenfm.com and we will mail you the toolkit. And use this toolkit to start talking to your board of trustees, your board. Let's get this conversation going. You need to move your organization forward to take care of the community needs, and you have to expand your programs. If you don't expand, you're dying. And so thank you for joining me on this journey, this video journey on where to get more resources. And I hope it helped you. And if you thought it did, please like and subscribe. And more importantly, as I always say in all my videos, please make sure you share this information with other colleagues and nonprofit leaders and religious leaders so that we can grow, learn, and sustain ourselves for the near future. So please, 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 when you end this video, share it, send it to somebody. That's going to help us get this information out there to more and more people in our community who need it. So thank you for watching. Wait, though, before you go, check out this video on how to overcome your fear of fundraising in 5 seconds. It's one of my favorite videos that I did, and it's from 2 great books. And check it out because it's really good and it'll help you overcome your fundraising fear. And until next time, please keep living with purpose, keep moving your community forward, and put yourself in miracle territory. We'll see you next video.